Hello and welcome back to the Horse Racing Network with me, Izzy Phillips, and I'm joined as always by our racing broadcaster and journalist Paul Auster and Jack Milner from Quiff, and we're going to be taking a look ahead to the Breeders' Cup that is happening this weekend. So a proper American special coming your way. If only, though, because obviously we have many UK and Ireland raiders heading out there to take the Yanks on. So we're going to kick things off with the Friday. I think it looks a good card. We've got quite a few of the Aidan O'Brien 2-year-olds that have headed out there for this, and it kicks off. I quite fancy True Love in the juvenile turf sprint. You know, I thought that personally True Love looked absolutely gorgeous in that parade ring at Newmarket on her last win. I'm really, really surprised that she's kind of gone this route. I know that there was some surprise at the time to see whether, you know, she might sort of move towards maybe one of the Guineas races, but I think that when they interviewed Aidan O'Brien at Newmarket, he was quite firm that the Breeders' Cup was going to be a target for her. And for that reason, I really fancy her. I think she's a really nice price. You can sort of get 100 to 30, 7 to 2. And she's actually my selection of them all on Friday. Does anyone have any selections against me, or are we also fancying True Love?
Well, as far as True Love goes, I think there's nothing to be lost really in running her, is there? You know, it's the end of the season. She's going to have a nice break anyway. And as long as she comes back in one piece, it's fine. And if she gets beat, well, they'll say, well, you know, the journey to America, the end of the season, the very fast ground, you've got all your excuses lined up. It doesn't detract from the fact that she could be a very good 3-year-old. So, you know, they're having a roll of the dice. You have to always remember, we've seen so many times all these terrific American juvenile speedsters coming over to Ascot and, you know, winning races for Wesley Ward and one or two others. So I think she's going to have to be pretty exceptional, I think, if she's going to win it. So I couldn't put one up against her, Izzy, but I would be keeping my cash in my pocket, watching her and cheering her on, but I wouldn't be putting my hard-earned on her, that's for sure.
I know there's been a lot of questions about whether or not people will be having a bet on the potential Guineas and 2000 Guineas favourites that also will be running on Friday. And that starts with Precise, who will be running at 11:05, if you're still up to watch it, in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf. Now, obviously, I don't know if you've seen, but they had the draw. They have like a big party for the draw. So they had that the other day, and Precise and Gustard, who is the other favourite later on, have drawn 13 and 14 in that order for their draws. And I think it's putting quite a few people off. But Precise is still 5-4 favourite for that juvenile fillies turf. Jack, I'll come to you here. Have you got a selection in this race, or do you think that Precise is good enough to defy that wide draw?
I think she is good enough to defy that wide draw. Whether you want to be taking a touchy was on again in some places, she's a short tempered, and I think she'll be backed on the night as well. Whether you want to be touching even money about a horse where in these types of races, so much can I can't get my words out straight. So much can go so wrong in the early stages of the race. It wouldn't be something where I'd want to get stuck in it, even money. If you've had a bad, please can't be responsibly. If you've had a bad day at Ascot and one of the like this, that would be one where you think I might be able to get out the chair. But for me, it's such a testament to Aidan O'Brien. Like Lake Victoria won this race 12 months ago, and she won Group 1s in England, Ireland, and America, which was almost an unthinkable thing to do. And he's potentially one race away from doing that in back-to-back seasons for different. It's such a testament to the trainer and the production line that is Coolmore to even be in with a potential of doing that in consecutive years, let alone horses. Phenomenal. Me personally, again, we talked about horses and remembering, different lineages. Pacific Mission was, I thought, a little bit unlucky because she was sitting duck at Doncaster when second in the Park Stakes over a mile. And for me, I was in love with her dad horse called Big Break, who was she's one of the leading favourites for the 1,000 Guineas for Dermot Weld in the Dreadnought. So she had a bit of an injury. She ended up finishing fourth, and she never really. I think she finished fourth in the Coronation Stakes as well. But I thought she was going to be an absolute world beater. It never went right for her, but I'm hoping her daughter, Pacific Mission, can at least live up to some of that lofty expectation I had. She was good maiden winner, second in a good group to Doncaster. Whether she's good enough, I don't really know, but I will be taking some of the 25 to 1 or 4 to this bet just from just in the memory of her mother alone.
Yeah, that's a fantastic price and could be, like you say, if it all goes right, drawn 12, so ever so slightly wide still as well there for Pacific Mission. One that's drawn quite low is Imagination the Lady, obviously the mount of Frankie Dettori, who has announced his second retirement. Is it second or third retirement? But I think probably we're all thinking now the most official retirement where we're not going to be seeing him race riding again. And, Imagination the Lady's coming here up for a couple of wins and could give Frankie Dettori a win on the night. So I think some really exciting racing there. We did also mention that Gustard has a pretty bad draw, to be completely honest with you, drawn out in 14 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Paul, do you think Gustard can get the win from there? Again, he's very similar to Precise, is, touches of odds on in places. Is that a good price to be backing Gustard?
Probably not. I won't be backing him at a short price, that's for sure. But, this again is a very, very good horse. We've got every reason to, consider him to be, one of the best juveniles in Europe. Again, it's coming at the end of a long season. That draw is horrible. I don't know how familiar you are with the track, but it's really sharp. It's a very tight track. It's, maybe just only slightly bigger than Chester. So imagine being in the car park draw there and having to go around. It's not, going to be dissimilar. And it's going to be very hard, I think. Having said that, the horse I think the value in the race isn't particularly well drawn either. It's the 12 horse called Botas, trained by Miguel Clement. And this is a horse that I just watched his last win in the US, where he had a real battle with a horse called Here's Johnny, who's also going to run and is better drawn. But just the way he won and his attitude, the way he stuck his head down and really went for it, I think that he could easily, get involved. He's 2 from 2. We don't know how good he is. And I just like the way he did what he did there, and he's obviously not had a lot of racing this season either. So I think Botas would be my each way choice. I'd also just a very quick word as well, because Joseph O'Brien's got a runner in this race called North Coast, but it's ridden by Dylan Brown McMonagle. And Dylan's had the most wonderful season in Ireland. I believe he's about to be or has been crowned champion jockey. This is an amazing achievement from a young lad who, is a real breath of fresh air. He's a lovely kid. He's really good when he's interviewed. He's terrifically stylish in the saddle. And I think he's going to be around for a long time to come. And, when eventually Ryan Moore steps aside, I would not be at all surprised to see DBM moving to, take the top job in Ireland, because I think he's a world-class rider. And it'd be lovely if he had a winner on the big stage as well to celebrate that.
Just on that point, Paul, we sponsored a series of races at Curragh, so I've been over a couple of times. This in August and September, and he's held in he's held in some regard by. We're chatting to some of the sponsors there, and some of the lads from do stuff for the racing guild there. He is seen as the heir apparent in every potential sense. So you are spot on that assessment.
I don't know if you guys had seen, obviously, Paul, you mentioned that he interviews very well, but there's been resurfaced an old clip from a documentary that he made when he was much younger. And in the first kind of few seconds, he said that the goal is to become champion jockey. Like, that's so lovely. Like, dreams do come true. And like you say, how amazing would it be to top off that kind of champion weekend with a win at the Breeders' Cup on the big stage? So fully agree with you. And we then have, obviously that's Friday night, that gets your weekend started, and then you might want to have a little look at the Charlie Horn or the Champion Chase at Down Royal. If you do want to have a look at that, on Saturday we have done a preview for that, so just check out the channel. But then on Saturday night, the party starts and the big racing starts. So we've got we're going to take a look at a couple of key races, but obviously there is incredible racing. The purses in the Breeders' Cup are incredible. I think the classic purse is $7 million. So some real big money around for these races on Saturday night. We're going to take a look first at the Breeders' Cup turf, where, surprise, surprise, we have another Aidan O'Brien favourite with Mini Hawk, who obviously was narrowly denied her ARC win. You've also got Rebels Romance in here, who would make history if he won this race for the third time and be the only horse to win it 3 times. You've also got Goliath in here for the French as well. We've got Griffard and a few other international raiders. So you've got the likes of Amelot for Rafe Beckett and Ross O'Ryan. You've also got Ethical Diamond in here for Willie Mullins. I know there's been a few quotes around saying that they don't know who he is, but will they find out on Saturday night? You've also got Wimbledon Hawkeye, who's in here again for Frankie Dettori and James Owen after they won that Nashville Derby. You've got El Cordovez, who seems to be almost the younger brother figure for Rebels Romance. You've got Redistricting, Rashabar, who obviously had that fantastic win in the Coventry. Was it in 2024? You've got Salawi, Gold Phoenix, Tawnyport, Hill Road, and Rebel Red in here. A stacked field for the Breeders' Cup turf. Paul, I'll come to you first. Do you fancy Mini Hawk? Do you think Rebels Romance can make history? Or are you fancying something at a little bit of a bigger price?
Well, first of all, I've got to hold my hands up and apologise to Mini Hawk, because I really didn't think that she would be able to rise to the challenge of the ARC, and she just ran a most wonderful race. I mean, it was a brilliant performance in defeat. You know, she was given a great ride by Soumillon. She did everything right. She was just beaten by a very good winner on the day. Question is whether, having slogged through the mud there 4 weeks ago, she's going to still have enough left in the tank for that transatlantic journey, and this really quick ground on a much sharper track going the other way around. If she can do it, it'll be quite a remarkable piece of training. But if anybody can do it, it's Aidan O'Brien. He's utterly outstanding. But I think that given the fact that he's been targeted at the race, and it isn't an afterthought as this might well have been with Mini Hawk, I think Rebels Romance has got a great chance of winning it for the third time. He loves the ground. He loves sharp tracks. He's done it before, and he won really nicely at Belmont Park last time out. So I think he's got a lot going for him with the excellent William Buick on board. Of the rest, I'd love to see Amelot go well, or Ethical Diamond for Dylan Brown McMonagle. The Americans, they're not even at the races, on turf over middle distances. 25-1, the first of their runners, redistricting. So I'd be shocked if they get even a sniff of a place here. So it's basically the Europeans putting on a show for the Americans on turf, and I just favour Rebels Romance from Mini Hawk.
Yeah, I think I have a real soft spot for Rebels Romance. I just, obviously has won at Del Mar. I know the Breeders' Cup moves around different tracks, but he has won at Del Mar. I just think that Horses for Courses, I really do believe that he can make history. I think there's like a racing fan in me that wants this. There's been a couple of people around saying that they just don't think that he's up to this Grade 1 class anymore. I think I would just disagree. I think that, if anyone's going to handle, like you say, the travel, being used to being that international superstar, because that's what we've come to know Rebels Romance as, I think it's him. I do also have a couple of other fancies in the race personally. Jack, you may agree or disagree here. I think Wimbledon Hawkeye coming into this fresh off of the Nashville Derby, it's quite an exciting runner. Beautiful draw in 6 as well, which is quite nice. And Ethical Diamond for our Irish champion jockey, Dylan Brown McMonagle, has also got a good chance. And, obviously I know he's drawn quite wide in 14, but I know earlier we said if any trainer can do it, Aidan O'Brien can, but the same can be said for Willie Mullins as well. Do you like either of them, or are you fancying something else?
You'd got a big prize at the start of the year to that the Evo winner would be winning at the Breeders' Cup, so that it would be a ridiculous training performance from the Master of the Sutton. But it's been constantly with Paul. I think Rebels Romance, even it's all the different parameters of winning this type of race. It's a really tight track. He's really well thrown. He's been Charlie Appleby. I know he's won this twice for Rebels Romance. He won this with Beer as well, so he's won 3 of the last 4 renewals. If Frankie would be a good angle, because I think him and Ryan are tied, but they've both won this race 5 times before. And Frankie's won this some fantastic also. Like I mentioned, Enable won this. I think was he on Ridge Rocks going back many years with Brian Mead. You go back even further. Christ, he went fantastic life at Elsin. But I do think Minnie Hawk, she's had a tough season. I don't know whether a mile and a half on a tight track like this is really playing to her strength. She's going to get £7 from the boys. My thoughts are all over the shop for this. But if I'm going to my head, you've got to back a horse here. Rugged Romance at 11 to 4 is pretty hard to turn down, especially with a few other people big giving extra places there. Minnie Hawk, best horse in the race, isn't the best horse in the race in these conditions, and we'll go with Rebels Romance 11 to 4.
We could be having a party on the group chat on Saturday night then if Rebels Romance comes in, guys. Right. That does then leave us the mile to discuss next. And at the top of the market, we have another Charlie Appleby runner. And that is Notable Speech, currently at around 2 to 1. You've got Sarlan. I don't think that this horse can be introduced any other way than the one-time Derby favourite, the Lion in Winter. Beautiful draw for him in 4. You've also got Rhetorical, Johans, Formidable Man. You've got John Quilt in here as well, another international raider. Program Trading, Argine is one that people have started to tout to be a potential winner for Frankie Dettori on his retirement night. Gas Me Up, Quirat, One Stripe, and Grand Orient. Paul, I'll come back to you here first. Are you fancying the one-time Derby favourite at all?
No. No, he's a horse I just couldn't. I mean, he's got a lot of ability, but he is quirky, and maybe this quirky track, this tight track, will suit him from a decent draw. And of course, only Cicero's Gift beat him the other week at Ascot. But I'll tell you one horse that might run well if he's in the mood, even though he's got if he had a better draw, I'd be even tempted to have a couple of bob on him, but I'm not going to do. That's Kirat, the horse that popped up at 150 to 1 at Goodwood. If he goes blasting out, and you just never know how far he might last. If he'd had a better draw, he might have gone rather well, but I'm sure Rafe Beckett was absolutely, kicking the stable cat after he saw what had happened with Kirat. But for me, Notable Speech, as pleasing as his win was in Canada last time out, I don't think he's going to be great value at 2 to 1, 7 to 4. So, and I do think the French horse is the one to have on your side here. Francis-Henri Graffard has had this wonderful, wonderful autumn, winning the Arc, and then, of course, winning the Champion Stakes with Calandagan a few weeks ago. And this horse has done his share, to keep him in the spotlight, coming up through the ranks, and won his Group 1 at Longchamp in September, beating the now retired Rosa Lion in the Prix de Moulins. And that's really good form. He's got a decent draw. He's a horse that doesn't, like a lot of horses need, French horses need plenty of give underfoot, but he's one that seems to like decent ground. Hopefully he'll handle the fast. And given what Connections have been doing in recent weeks, there's so much momentum behind him. I would think that it could be an each-way steal. Sarlan at around 6 to 1.
Are you in agreement, Jack? Do you have a strong fancy in this one?
I mean, I disagree with Paul on that in a rare occasion. I do like Notable Speech. I think he kind of showed. You worry with some of these Godolphin three-year-olds who've had such good seasons and they get sent around the world. I think last year he was certainly in the stress only 12 months ago, but he'd been in France, he'd been sent to America, and you wonder coming then back as a 4-year-old, can they continue to reproduce him when he's beaten Newbury and the Locking Stakes? I think I backed him that day and thought it was very disappointing. But he's kind of improved as the season got on. They tried him over 6 furlongs, they ran him in the July Cup, he's only beaten 2.5 lengths. He set a fear of that day. Went to Deauville for the Prix-Jacques Laval, he's only beaten the head, and then sent to Woodbine and he's won his grade one up in Canada. So he has seemingly got better, and given these connections with seemingly his trainer, I presume this has been his long-term aim to come back and almost make amends. So the Lightning Winters is an interesting one, just because it's very hard to write anything trained by Aidan O'Brien because he's a genius. And I couldn't work out how on earth he can second the QE2 on Champions Day, but no speech to me. I think he's got the best form in the book. He's got that. Arguably the best jockey on board, and he's got a great draw as well too. So providing, unless anything goes disastrously wrong, Notable Speech to me, I will be back him on the day 2-1.
And I know, obviously, generally here on the podcast, we've taken a look at the turf races for the Breeders' Cup. But before we go, I am just going to make a quick mention for the dirt races. Obviously, you have got the classic Sovereignty. The hot favourite for the race is out after contracting a fever. So obviously, hopefully he gets well soon. But that has opened the market up a little bit with sort of flip-flop favourites really going on. Fierceness currently appears to be favourite, but you've also got Sierra Leone in here. You've got Forever Young for the Japanese. You've also got Journalism, who's had a little bit of a battle with Sovereignty for most of this season. I think that probably Journalism, I think, has got quite a good chance for Jose Ortiz. So that's probably where my selection will go for the Dirt Classic. And you've also got a Dirt Mile that will be run later on as well. And I really do have a selection in there as well. I quite like the look of Mystic Dan. He actually won, and I remember watching it on the TV when I went to Ireland. And it was around Guineas weekend, and it was the end of the Punchestown Festival. And we were in a bar quite late at night, and they had obviously the Breeders' Cup up on the screen. And I remember him winning there. So I'm going to say Mystic Dan for me. Sorry, it wasn't the Breeders' Cup, it was the Churchill Downs race. So Mystic Dan for me in the Dirt Mile as well. But hopefully across all the cards there, we've found you some kind of a winner on Friday or Saturday. And obviously we do wish you the best of luck. And don't forget to join in next time.